In this video, we're going to talk about how to use the ICU4J APIs in an Android application. Specifically, 7.0 is what we're really focused on because things have changed. So, before we get into that, though, ICU4J, it's an open source library package that effectively lets you work with globalization and Unicode operations much easier. However, things changed a little bit in Android 7.0 or API level 24, and of course, it'll be higher as well. So there's now a subset of those ICU4J APIs exposed for developers. So in previous versions of 7.0, you used to have to package these into your APK, all right, and it did bloat to some degree. But the idea here now is you can keep that to a relative minimum, and you can just invoke the framework as needed. So that's a major step forward in 7.0. And one of the coolest thing is how this whole thing is powered. So it actually uses localization data present. All right, so it's going to inspect the device, and it'll use that as a helper way to actually invoke the framework. So it's quite clever and quite smart. So let's now take a look and see what they look like as an example. So I'm just going to paste some code here, 2 lines, which are effectively supposed to be equivalent here. So character, see, I just included the java.lang just so you could see the namespace. But the equivalent in the ICU4J package is android.icu.lang.u character. All right. Now, what I'm highlighting right here is the most important point here. So this is the package that you can use where these are contained. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of them. It's definitely worth just taking a view through these. Beyond the characters, some of the ones to really pay attention to is things like decimal formatting, date formats, number formats, and effectively any other type of character that would be really affected by globalization. So again, just as a quick demo here, so if I did android.text.format.date format, all right, this would be my namespace for working with the normal date format. But if I was concerned about globalization or that type of thing, then I would do android.icu.text.date format. Okay. So these are all available. Again, it's much easier to use now. You just have to start using this android.icu namespace. And this will make your globalization and Unicode support much easier. Again, this was all possible to do before version 7. However, with version 7, because the library is here now, you don't have to package it up with your APKs. Keep in mind, though, at this moment, API 24 is new. So a lot of devices aren't running Android 7 necessarily yet. So you'll probably want to take a hybrid approach, at least for the short term. But long term, this will be much easier to code and target devices.